So, good morning, everyone. It's 11:21 on the 22nd of October. I'm just going to go through a few articles. I was streaming the Brexit thing because it's kind of a big deal of them exiting the EU, becoming more independent from them without the overlords controlling what they do. So I was kind of just broadcasting that. So it's something I'm interested in watching. The world's changing. Everybody wants their independence and their freedom. There's rioting going on all over the world. Lebanon, Chile, everywhere. I read some articles about that the other day. So today I'm going to... So there's a lot of fires going on over in California and Los Angeles. I broadcasted a live feed yesterday, the fire, Southern California, the Pleiades fire, and it burned a lot of the hillside. I haven't checked in on it really today. I'm kind of getting a late start. I had some things that I had to take care of, but it did some significant damage there. But one thing I was wanting to read you guys, you can see it's up on the screen. It says, power lines may be at fault in raging fire near Los Angeles, officials say. Now, if you look at where this article's out of, it's out of NBC News. So it's a mainstream media outlet. I don't trust the mainstream media to tell us anything. I will tell you this, if you're going to look into anything that has to do with the media, or has to do with these wildfires, I would definitely look into what a direct energy weapon is, and look into how a fire can melt roads and not the trees that line along these roads, or how a fire can destroy one house, skip two houses, and destroy another house. Just look into DEWs, or direct energy weapons, and of course they're not going to tell us the truth about this. I believe this has a video on it too, so I'm going to make this big. This is kind of reminiscent of the video I shared yesterday. I don't know if it's going to let me make it big or not. Let me turn this audio on here. Turn this down a bit. I noticed yesterday whenever I did my feed that background music was kind of loud and you couldn't hear me on the microphone. So let's play this. Oh, it won't let me.
Power lines are suspected to have been involved in a major wildfire that led to evacuation orders for 100,000 people and was blamed for 2 deaths in the Los Angeles area last week. Officials say the Saddle Ridge fire ignited in an area right beneath a high voltage transmission tower on Thursday. Other parts of Southern
California. I'm going to say this. I'm using this under the Fair Use Act. I have to say it. No one else really cares that I use their stuff per se. I'm not that huge of a channel or anything like that. I've got 2 complaints on 2 different platforms from CBS. So that was weird. So I'm going to read this. It says, any of the videos, articles, or points of views in this broadcast is used under the Fair Use Act, and they may not reflect the point of view or the interests of the Kingsman Report or myself, Ryan. You can just call me Barnes. Call me by my last name, as most people do. So we'll get back to the video here. Once again, my phone lines are open. The number is 1-408-638-0968. Enter the meeting ID. It's 534-233-4758, and you'll hit the pound sign twice, and then I will go to a break like this and screen the call, and we can talk, see what articles you want us to talk about and different things. So let me get back to this. I'm going to go ahead and start this over. It's not a very long video. It's like 24 seconds.
Power lines are suspected to have been involved in a major wildfire that led to evacuation orders for 100,000 people and was blamed for 2 deaths in the Los Angeles area last week. Officials say the Saddle Ridge fire ignited in an area right beneath a high-voltage transmission tower on Thursday. Other parts of Southern California were under rolling power blackouts to prevent such fires sparked by power lines at that very same time.
In just hours, one of the key figures
Alright, so that was just the video. I'll read a little bit here. I'll say this, and I haven't gone into it here, but I probably will. I've talked about it a little bit on my Facebook. But definitely look into the power outages going on in California. Look into PG&E. Look into who runs PG&E, and a gentleman that I believe he was just released from jail, who is an elite, I guess you could call him, who was connected to PG&E. He gets out of jail, and then all of a sudden everything starts crumbling. And along the line where these blackouts are happening, you also have a whole bunch of nuclear plants run along there. So read a little bit of this article. It says power lines are suspected to have been involved in a major wildfire that led to evacuation of over 100,000 people and was blamed for 2 deaths in Los Angeles County last week, authorities said Monday. The Saddle Ridge fire ignited in a 50 by 70 foot area beneath a high voltage transmission tower on Thursday, the Los Angeles Fire Department said late Monday afternoon. Other parts of Southern California were under rolling power blackouts to prevent fire sparked by power lines at the time. The cause of the fire remained undetermined, and fire investigators said, but the electric utility serving the area, Southern California Edison, or SCE, confirmed to NBC News that it filed a notice with the state regulators on Friday reporting that our system was impacted near the reported time of the fire. Like I said, do a little research into PG&E and what's going on there with the nuclear plants. A lot of interesting stuff happening in California. It has to go along with Agenda 21. The next article is out of NextGov, but it's titled "The Postal Service is Exploring Big Ideas for Small Drones." So it says unmanned aircraft could transport packages across tough terrain and inform future initiatives to introduce autonomous vehicles. The United States Postal Service recently announced it's exploring introducing drones into its vehicle fleets and advanced mail delivery operations to support its collection of geospatial sensor, image, and other data. The independent agency published a document of answers to potential participants' questions Friday, offering new ideas into its plans. The Postal Service recognizes that the ability of unmanned aircraft systems to supplement mail delivery and information collection can subsequently benefit the country and further the development of other autonomous systems, agency officials wrote in the original request for information. So I don't know if you guys know the statistic on this, but I think it says in 10 years, something like 70% of all jobs are going to be ran by autonomous artificial intelligence, and this is just another one. Now it's going from there's an awesome video that came out of California. A guy orders a Domino's pizza. A pizza shows up in an autonomous vehicle. It has an oven built into the back of it, and you punch in a code that it gives you on your delivery receipt, and opens a door, and the pizza slides out of the back of the delivery truck. Where I'm at, I don't necessarily know if we'll ever get anything like that. We might, who knows? But yeah, I think the statistics in 10 years, 70% of the majority of the jobs, whether it's governmental, restaurant, they're going into the trucking industry. Tesla's wanting to have autonomous freight carriers to drive around and deliver goods, imports, exports. Now you can see by looking at this article that it's going into the United States Postal Service. Getting rid of jobs for everybody, more dependent on the machine instead of the man who builds the machines. This is the system we've created, and now it's slowly taken over. If anything, everyone needs to learn how to grow their own vegetables. They need to learn how to camp, travel without vehicles, hiking, different things like that, because the way we're headed, it's going to be some. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Upgrade. It's an awesome movie. The guy and his wife are in an accident. She works for a company, a technological company, and the man's her husband's friend that he built a car for works for a competitor company, and he builds this microchip called STEM, and it's implanted into the back of his neck. After this accident, his wife is killed, and he's made to be a paraplegic. No, he's a quadriplegic, and they put the chip in the back of his neck, and he becomes this, basically a cyborg. This chip embeds itself into his neck through the surgery and takes over everything, and he's pretty much unstoppable. It's an awesome movie, but we may be, I don't know if we'll get that advanced. We may already be that advanced, and we're just not being told about it. Pretty interesting stuff. Going into the future. What's next? Chips in the hands and the foreheads? Probably so. And by the way, anyone watching this, so I was a pastor, and I was a youth pastor for a long time. I wouldn't consider myself religious. I keep a faith. It's a Judeo-Christian faith. I'm into the upcoming things, and one of the biggest arguments out there is who or what is the mark of the beast. And so you have to understand something. When John said, and the number of the beast is 6,366, so 666, there's three parts to the system. Okay, there's the man, aside from God, the carnal-minded man, who follows after the ways of man, the lust of the flesh, his selfish desires, and then the deeds that he does because of those things. So the man built the system, and there's a spirit in all of us. In the book of Matthew, Jesus says that if the eye is full of light, then the whole body is full of light. But if that eye is full of darkness, then how much greater is that darkness? What eye is he talking about? If you research the endocrine system, if you look into Jacob wrestling with the angel, which physically wouldn't happen, he would have been destroyed. This is a battle between our mind, our carnal mind, and our spiritual mind. So there's three parts to the man that mocks God, and there's three parts to the system that mocks God. So you have the man, you have the spirit, or you have the man, the system the man built, and you have the spirit that drives both the man to build the system. Outside entities, you can call them. If you read the book of Enoch, you'll discover all this stuff. who these people are, or not necessarily people, spirits are, and how they drive this system that we live in. So it's not physical. Everyone wants to say, oh, the white man is Esau, and this ridiculous stuff saying that your salvation's found in your skin color. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Whoever's preaching that message needs to wake up. If you think that this is an actual physical battle, then you don't understand anything. And what I will say to you is, we have physical battles. There's spirits that drive these battles. We don't battle against flesh and blood. Powers and principalities of wickedness in high places is what Paul says. So this is us in our spiritual being housed in a flesh suit, more or less. And we're manifest things. So anything that happens to us spiritually, whether depression, anything like that, we're manifesting those things into our reality. So we create the environments around us because of what drives us: anger, animosity, division, divisiveness. All these things are products of our faith. They're products of our belief. They're product of our mindsets: carnal mind, spiritual mind. That's the gist of it. Has nothing to do with your skin color. It doesn't matter if you're white. I have a whole bunch of ethnicities inside of me. I come from a lineage of a whole different people. So if you're saying it's just this certain race that's going to be saved and all these other people are going to be Edomites or Esau, then I guess I'm toast, because you're going to have to divide every part of my ethnicity up into a multitude of things. The logic behind that is absolutely ridiculous. That's the system. That's the beast. Man's the beast. The beast, the head of the beast, the Antichrist, whatever he is, it changes. Someone can lead that system and it switches out. The spirit behind them is the same spirit leading the man. The man changes. Go to 1 John. He says some of us wait for the big A Antichrist, but when I tell you this, the Antichrist is already here. That was all the way back in the biblical times. Anything against God is Antichrist. Wake up, it's not hard. Y'all are making this way too hard, and then you're making it racial, and that is the most ignorant thing I ever had. I don't serve a God that's divisive, and I don't serve a God who puts race against everyone. You follow what this divide and conquer wants you to follow, and what you're following is black against white, against native, against all these different things, and they put labels on us. We are all human beings. Put the ethnicity aside. We're all humans, Jew and Gentile. We are all human. Get over it. No one here is greater than the other, and everyone's going to get a rude awakening whenever this happens. We serve one king. One king. You want to serve yourselves, one king. He's the leader, the king of the tribe of Judah. That's who we serve. Your 12 tribe chart, ridiculous. Okay? All those tribes serve one tribe. Okay? So, just stop with it. Now I'm going to stop. So, I just see some of the stuff on here and it gets ridiculous. Anyways, we're going to go into this article. This is kind of old, but it comes out of the Thomas Reuters Foundation. Credit to them. This is from the 16th of October, but it says exclusive U.S. carried out secret cyber attacks on Iran in the wake of Saudi oil attack, officials say. Let me pull this article up here. I think this is it. Yeah. All right. So it says Washington, October 16th, says the United States carried out a secret cyber operation against Iran in the wake of September 14th attacks on Saudi Arabia oil facilities, with Washington and right of blame on Tehran. Two U.S. officials have told Reuters. It says the officials who spoke on conditions of anonymity said the operation took place in late September and took aim at Tehran's ability to spread propaganda. Well, they do a great job. So what you're telling me is they're going after other countries for spreading propaganda, but you can turn on your television and that's all you see is propaganda. Yeah, why doesn't somebody do something about that here? Operation Mockingbird, look it up. It highlights how President DT's administration has been trying to counter what sees as Iran's aggression without spiraling into broader conflict. The strike appears more limited than other such operations against Iran this year after the downing of an American drone in June and alleged attack by Iran's Revolutionary Guards on oil tankers in the Gulf in May. The United States, Saudi Arabia, Britain, France, and Germany, the Five Eyes, have publicly blamed the September 14 attack on Iran. Look into the Five Eyes also. So we have agencies, starts with a C and ends with an A, who's not supposed to spy on us, but I'm sure they do, through the NSA and things like that. But Five Eyes and their governmental agencies that spy on each other's governments. So we have a pact with these 5 different agencies from these 5 different governments, and one spies on one, the other spies on the other spies on the other, and then those agencies report back to our governments the intels that they get, and we do it to each other. So everyone's spying on each other, but we all know since Snowden came out and he told us that they're spying on us anyways. So, but look up the Five Eyes, it's really interesting. It says the Iran-aligned Houthi militant group in Yemen claimed responsibility. It says publicly the Pentagon has responded by sending thousands of additional troops and equipment to bolster Saudi defenses, the late U.S. deployment to the region this year. An article just came out too that I was going to read it, I think yesterday. I may be able to pull it up right now. I'll look into it. So the troops that are being pulled out from Syria are going to be placed in, I believe it's Iraq. Don't quote me on that because I have to look it up. I can pull it up right quick. I pulled so many articles up that I read. Not there, not there, not there. Yeah, that's where it's happening at. So yeah, as for U.S. troops from Syria to Iraq, and this is Kabul, Afghanistan. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper says that under current plans, all U.S. troops leaving Syria will go to western Iraq, and the American military will continue to conduct operations against the Islamic State group to prevent its resurgence. Esper, who arrived in the Afghan capital on Sunday, did not rule out the idea that U.S. forces could conduct counterterrorism missions from Iraq to Syria, but he told reporters traveling with him that those details will be worked out over time. So, our troops that were coming home from Syria, looks like they've been sent somewhere else. I just want to throw that in there real quick. So, as a matter of the policy operational security, we did not suspect cyberspace operations, intelligence, or planning, said Pentagon spokeswoman Alyssa Smith. Said the impact of the attack, if any, could take months to determine, but cyber strikes are seen as a less provocative option below the threshold of war. Obviously, this attack that happened on Saudi Arabia was an act of war. they are poising over there. So there's a whole bunch of military weapons that are being traded over there. S-400 systems from Russia being sold. Everybody's staging. So whatever's happening, we're not necessarily going to be the first people to know about it. Last to know, probably too late to know. But that's the world that we live in. You know, people may say, you know, what I talk about is a bunch of conspiracies or ideology. I show you the news articles. You can read the news articles. These are news articles that people just skip over and pay no attention to, really. Just, you know, read them. Everyone has a computer in their pocket. Look up S-400 sold, which is a ground missile defense system. Matter of fact, all you got to do is know what to type. Since I got it right here, I will pull it up. All right. I mean, so I talk a lot about Turkey, and I've talked about Turkey, and I've said this before. I've talked about Turkey long before Turkey started getting more involved in what was going on here. I said they would be a major player in what's to come. It's loading. They've been doing, you know, backdoor deals with different people. I said that they would be involved in whatever's coming. So they're kind of like a sleeper cell. They've been, you know, Erdogan is what I call him. I'm not sure that's his name. It's pronounced differently in a lot of different places. They hide, right? Or he doesn't hide, but he sits back and he watches. And it's chess and checkers. As soon as he sees the door opened up, he makes his move. He's already made alliances with Russia. They got Assad al-Bashar, I think his name is, the president of Syria, hiding in a bunker in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in Damascus. They have Iran, Russia, and Turkey come together to make a constitution or a declaration for the country of Syria. You have those three powers have nothing to do with that government because Assad is hiding somewhere. They're trying to come together and make a constitution for the people in Syria. 3 outside entities controlling Syria. So I said this earlier. Look it up. They're posing, or they're staging for something. It says Turkey, Russia signed deal to supply of S-400 missiles. So Turkey. This is from 2017. Turkey and Russian on Friday signed an accord for Moscow to supply Ankara with S-400 surface-to-air missile batteries. Turkish authorities said, finalizing a deal to set up deepen military ties between NATO member Turkey and the Kremlin. Look at these things. So this is a Russian S-400 Triumph medium-range and long-range surface-to-air system drive during victory parade at the Red Square in Moscow, Russia, May 9, 2015. This is where this picture's from. And people want to say that you know, nothing's going on. Pay no attention. It's not going to affect us. Well, that's blurry, so that's not coming in. So just pay attention. Let's see if we have anything here within the past day. Let's watch this video. It's another picture of them there. Spectacular video shows Russia's S-400 air defense system in action. So it says awesome video, so let's see if we can find this awesome video. Just taking a second to load, I suppose. Yep, here we go. Had to turn that down a little bit, it's a little loud. Pretty awesome. So, pay attention. I read an article yesterday. All these countries have something to do with what's going on, and I'll talk about this one again if it'll let me pull it up. So watch what happens with this also. Netanyahu's the current prime minister. Gantz was running against him in the snap polls that were happening over in Israel for the next prime minister. The president of Israel gave Netanyahu the opportunity to build a government. I believe his party is the Likud, and I believe Gantz is the Blue and White Party. And Netanyahu had failed to accomplish that task, so now Rivlin, I believe is his name, the president of Israel, is given Gantz the opportunity to put together the government. Maybe they can bring the Likud and the Blue and White together. I don't know. I know this though. Netanyahu kind of fears Gantz getting control because he has more of the Muslim vote than Netanyahu does. And if you pay any attention to what's going on over there, Netanyahu is trying to build a whole housing addition along the Gaza Strip there in Israel, A lot of the Muslims are against it. You know, the Palestinians fighting, saying that's our land. Israel saying it's not. And then, you know, stories come out that says Netanyahu wants to join the two together. They want peace there. There's constant, you know, missiles flying over into Israel from Gaza, from Hamas, and different things. So pay attention to what's going on here. Whatever happens here in Israel, if you believe in Bible prophecy, then pay attention to this. These two right here, I said in Luke, I think it's 14:21, that when you see Jerusalem surrounded by his enemy, know its desolation is near. This is in the center of what's going on with Turkey, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the different kingdoms that are in end-time prophecy. So pay attention who leads this country. Gantz's ex-military, Bibi's ex-military, but they say that Gantz is more hardcore with the military, and neither one of the guys are a coward. I don't know either one of them, but I think whoever's in there is not going to take anything from anybody, and could, you know, first sign of something popping off, I think possibly Gantz would pull the trigger a lot faster than Netanyahu. So I think I'm going to get back to the video, see if the Brexit's on here, and just broadcast that a little bit more. And then I'm going to put together some news tonight. I'm going to look at more into PG&E and you know, what's going along, where the power outages are going on, the nuclear plants that are falling apart right there on the same path as the rolling blackouts, and also pretty much the desolation of these nuclear plants. They're not being ran properly, not being taken care of. And you also have people living right along this area. You know, what if there's an accident? It seems the powers that be don't care about the people, if you haven't figured it out yet. So pay attention to this, and I'll be back. I'm going to look into some more stuff. You guys have a good afternoon.